Hello, let's take a look at how to find viruses. Now, viruses sound like they're very mysterious, but the fact is that viruses are located in processes. And so just like a biological virus will attack a cell and use that cell to replicate itself, a computer virus will attack a process and use that process to replicate itself. So to find a virus, what we really want to do is find a process that is infected. And to start this, we can use a tool that Microsoft has purchased and gives away for free, and it's called Process Explorer. So I'm typing in Process Explorer, and the first thing to pop up is technet.microsoft.com. And if I click on this, you'll see that I've got a download Process Explorer. And keep in mind that this only works for Microsoft computers. Apple computers generally do not get viruses. And that's because in order to install software on Apple computers, the software usually has to be allowable, or you have to be able to get it from some kind of source that goes through Apple itself. But with Microsoft computers, you can install any kind of software that you want without any kind of exceptions. Okay, so I just downloaded the Process Explorer.zip file. I'm going to go ahead and click on this and show in folder. And now that I can see it, I'm going to right click it and extract all. I've got to extract this before I can use it. Okay, so that just extracted a folder called Process Explorer, and inside I can see a Process Explorer.exe. I'll go ahead and double click on that. And actually, let me take that back. I really should run this as the administrator. So to keep my computer virus free, the number one thing I do is I do not run my computer as the administrator. I run my computer as a standard user. That way, if I accidentally click on a virus, it doesn't install. If I run as administrator, that will allow the Process Explorer to have all the power of the administrator in order to get rid of viruses. So as soon as I do that, the screen goes blank. Got to put in my administrator password. Alright, now here's Process Explorer. So just like if we were trying to find a virus in a human being, we might look at every single cell to see which cell was infected. Here we're looking at every single process to see which process is infected. And we can tell what's infected quite often by taking a look at the CPU usage. So if you see a process that's using lots of CPU, and system idle process is not one of them. So system idle process means your computer's not doing anything, and it's fine if that's very high. But the other ones, if I sort by the CPU by clicking up here in this column, I can see which processes are using the most CPU, and viruses generally use a lot of CPU. So that's one hint that you've got a virus, is just by looking at the CPU. The description, well, a virus can describe itself as anything, so that can be deceiving. The company name, that can also be faked. So you can't use the description or the company name because the virus writer might be lying to you. The best way and the easiest way to find out if something is a virus is to right-click on your columns header. And so I've right-clicked on the column header, and now you get the option to select columns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select 3 columns that make it easy to find viruses. I've got the virus total, I've got the image path, and I've got the verified signer. So I'm clicking those, hitting OK. It gives me a little information. I'm just going to click OK here. I'll tell you about that later. Okay, so now I've got my virus total, but to actually see it, I'm going to go to Options and choose virustotal.com, check virustotal.com. It opens up a web page, but it also gives me this, do I agree to the terms of service? The web page that it opened is the terms of service, and that's no problem. I'm going to agree to those. Click yes. Now it submits a hash. A hash is a computation that is created based on the zeros and ones of the process as it sits on the hard drive. So it'll analyze the process and it'll come back and tell you whether it is a virus or not. And I just clicked on that column head. Now it's sorting by virus total. And I do have one process that one of the 56 servers thinks is a virus. So it's kind of like I've got all these different servers up there, and they all get reports about processes that are viruses. And one of these servers thinks that this Power ISO process is a virus. And probably because this is a freeware, you can download it for free, Power ISO. And when you do download it, it gives you the option to install other software, and that other software might be malware. For example, it might try to hijack your search engine so that you end up going to other pages when you don't want to. That's if you forget to check the checkbox, so maybe that's why it's got that. But I actually know that this is not a virus, and the way that I can tell is by the verified signer, and I'll show you that here. I mean, like, once we see that. But all the rest of these processes, no servers think it's a virus, and that's a pretty good sign. If I got them as unknown, that could be an unknown virus. So most processes are famous. There's thousands and thousands of people that are running them on their computers, so they're known. If we get an unknown one, that's interesting. Okay, so to look at the verified signer, I'm going to go to Options, and I'm going to Verify Image Signatures. Now this is going to send hashes to Microsoft to tell me exactly which company made these processes. And I can see that some of these are verified. There are a few that have no signatures. Generally speaking, viruses do not have signatures. In order to get a signature, your company must write some software, you submit it to Microsoft, you pay them money, and then they give you a signature that you can put in your code. And some companies don't like to do that because it costs money and they don't want to give it to Microsoft. But I'm looking at this and I can see that this Power ISO does have a signature. That's a very good sign that it's not a virus. I'm going to go ahead and sort by verified signature. So I'm going to bring the no signatures on top. I see that I've got 4 processes that do not have signatures, and so they are suspect. I don't have a virus total hash. I'm looking at them, something like Notepad and TechSmith, is which I'm using the Snagit software to do the screencast. And I can see that these are actually not viruses, but one way that I can really tell is by looking at the path. So we have this path here. Viruses tend to not run out of program files. So here I see a whole bunch of stuff that's running out of program files, and I see a whole bunch of other stuff that's running out of Windows. So the Windows operating system runs all of its own stuff out of the Windows folder, and it runs all the programs. It makes all programs be stored in program files. If I see something that's not in Windows or not in programs, then that's suspect. In fact, most viruses will run out of users. So here I look at users and I can see that I've got 2 processes. This is actually Process Explorer itself running that is running out of users. It's running out of my download folder. So if you see some stuff running out of users, that's going to be suspect itself. Now once you find a virus, you want to get rid of it. So how do we get rid of it? Well, I'll show you. First I'm going to bring this, just as an example, I'll bring my Power ISO software up here. So if I thought that that was a virus, then what I would do is I would right click on it and I would suspend it. Now this one is already suspended. If I start it, it turns green. If I suspend it, it'll turn gray. So now it's suspended. And what that allows me to do is, number one, it saves me any CPU usage that that virus is using. So now I'll have more control over the computer. But it also makes it so that that virus cannot infect me. Now what I could do is I could try to kill it. I could right click it and kill process. But when I kill it, the operating system actually allows the process to shut down orderly. And that means that the process, the virus, might be able to restart itself somewhere else or embed itself in somewhere else so that it does restart next time the computer restarts. So I'll just suspend it, and I'll minimize this Process Explorer. The next thing I want to do is I want to Google Autoruns. So Autoruns is a piece of software that comes from Microsoft, and it's also from TechNet, and I can download it in a zip file. Just like before, I've got a show in folder, and I'll right click it and I'll extract all, and then I get it. There's two of them. One is the console version, one is just the regular version. I want the regular version, just autoruns.exe. I'm going to run that as the administrator as well. Now keep in mind, the single thing that you can do to make your computer safe is to not run as an administrator. As you're going along using the internet, checking your emails, you might be clicking on things that are giving you viruses, and because you're the administrator, you can do that. But if you create another account on your computer that's just a standard user and use that, and just use the administrative account when you need the administrative privileges, then you might never get a virus. And so since I do not run as the administrator, chances are I'm never going to get a virus. I haven't had viruses for years. I run whole corporations without antivirus software because all of the users are not allowed to have administrative privileges. Okay, so now here I can see all of my processes that are automatically starting. For example, I've got Google Chrome installer. Well, if I don't want that to happen, I just uncheck it. Here's my Power ISO. That starts up automatically. If I didn't want it to start up automatically, I just uncheck it. Keep in mind, if I decided later that I wish that it would start up, I could just run Autoruns again and recheck it. You'll notice that I've disabled Sun Java Updater. Here I've got Skype that is starting up automatically. Snagit starting up automatically. There's lots of different stuff that I've got starting automatically that I could just disable if I wanted. Here's Google Updater. If it's yellow, that means that the files are actually gone, so it wouldn't matter if you try to start it or not. You can see some scheduled tasks. These things are processes that start up at a scheduled time that you probably didn't want them to do, like this Google Update task machine. It will start up every once in a while. Go check. If I didn't want that, I could uncheck it. Same thing with this TechSmith updater. Every once in a while that's going to start up. Go look for updates. If I didn't want it to do that, I could uncheck it. So here we would go into Autoruns and just uncheck every single thing that we think is a virus, and then we could check it later if it turns out that it's not a virus. So that's all we have to do to get rid of a virus. You have to locate the process and then stop it from starting up. Once we've unchecked these, we could just pull the cable on our computer and reboot. That assures us that the viruses won't have any chance to restart. Then we want to go through, after our computer restarts, we want to go through and check the process again, see what we got rid of, see what we didn't get rid of, and then we want to do the process over and over again until we're able to get rid of all of the viruses. Alright, so please take a screenshot of Autoruns and Process Explorer and turn it in as your lab. Thank you.